the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The minutes of the regular city council meeting held March 8th, 2022, and the special city council meeting held March 24th, 2022, are before the council. Is there anyone in the audience or any member of the council that wishes to make any changes to the minutes as they're printed? Hearing none, I would entertain a motion for their approval.
So moved.
Seconded.
Motion's been made and seconded. Discussion? All in favor of approving the minutes of the regular council meeting held on March 8th and a special council meeting held March 24th. Discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. The consent agenda is before the council, and all items with an asterisk are considered to be routine by the city council and will be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a council member or citizen so requests, in which event the item will be removed from the general order of business and considered separately in its normal sequence on the agenda. Is there anyone in the audience or any member of the council that wishes to add or remove any items from the consent agenda? Hearing none, I would entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda as printed.
I move to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve the consent agenda. Further discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. At this time, I'm going to call on our Public Utility Superintendent, Vernell Roberts. He wants to make a few comments to the council and some recognitions apparently, right?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor and Council. Yeah, I just want to talk about 3 recent recognitions that Public Utilities has received from American Public Power Association, APPA. The first one is they recognize us for being an RP3 provider, that's reliable public power provider. And we're at the platinum designation for that. We're one step away from diamond. We missed diamond by about 1.5 percentage points here 2 years ago, and we'll reapply for that in 2023. It measures 4 performance areas in 4 distinct areas: reliability, safety, workforce development, and system innovation and improvement. It's really hard to get that RP3 designation, but our staff works really hard in all those areas, and we're able to maintain our RP3 designation. The other one is the APPA Safety Award for 2021. Public Utilities had 0 lost time accidents and 0 first report of injuries for 2021. That's a very difficult measure to achieve. That's all possible due to our safety culture, the safety program we have, and the diligence of public utility staff to be very careful when they're in the workplace. And the last one is Certificate of Excellence in Reliability. That's awarded for significantly exceeding reliability standards of other utilities in the country. And that's benchmarked by system outages. There's CAIDI, SAIDI, SAFE, CAFE, and a whole bunch of other acronyms that I'm not going to go into. Well, we strive for having 99.9999% reliability. And we achieve that every year, and we do a lot better than a lot of our neighboring utilities and much better than a lot of in our peer group. So all these recognitions are a really good benchmark for the performance of the utilities. And I'm very proud to report that we do an excellent job. These recognitions show that performance, and we outperform many in our peer group and even larger utilities than what we have. It's all the testament of the quality of employees we have and the service they provide to the city, the utility, and the citizens of Detroit Lakes. So with that, I entertain any questions, Mr. Mayor, or the council, if you have them.
Any questions for Vernell? So do you let all your employees know that you're getting these too, right?
Oh, absolutely.
As a little pep talk?
Absolutely.
Well, we're really proud of our utilities, so thank you, Vernell. Without objection, I'd like to jump down to the public hearing for 4C. At this time, I'll adjourn the regular meeting and call to order a public hearing to give consideration to the granting of a brewer's tap room license, a brewer off-sale license, and a Sunday liquor license to FB Enterprises LLC for the period of April 13th to December 31st of 2022. Kelsey, any?
Mayor and council don't really have anything to add.
Okay.
We just are required to have a public hearing, and we do have someone here from the applicant if you have any questions.
Any questions from the council?
Maybe
Comments?
Kelsey, if you could tell what a brewer's tap room license is, the things they can do versus a other liquor license.
So the brewer's taproom license, Mayor and Council, is just limited to basically their ability to sell on sale of the products that are brewed on site. So that they won't necessarily have a full bar. It's just selling their own product. The brewer off-sale license allows them to sell the growlers and the like. So that's basically what the license would allow them to do.
And when will you be open?
That's a great question. One answer is whenever we have 8 really high-quality beers ready to be served to people.
Okay. All right.
Likely June, sometime in June is kind of what we're saying these days.
Okay.
This permit is needed, the state permit is needed, and then construction-related permits are also being considered now. And we'll get rolling as soon as we possibly can.
Okay. Any further questions? If not, that public hearing is closed, and I would entertain a motion from the council.
I would move that we approve the granting to Brewers Taproom license, Brewers Taproom license, the off-sale license, and the Sunday liquor license.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to grant the brewer's taproom license, the brewer's off-sale license, and the Sunday liquor license to FB Enterprises LLC for the balance of 2022. Discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Good luck. We look forward to your opening. Thanks for coming.
Thank you very much.
Without objection, I'd like to jump down to Community Development Committee item 5B, please.
5B is consideration to a resolution approving a conditional use permit to allow a short-term rental for an entire 4-bedroom home at 1038 Westlake Drive. Planning Commission reviewed this, CDC reviewed this last night, recommends approval, and I so move.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve a resolution approving a conditional use permit allowing a short-term rental at 1038 Westlake Drive. Discussion?
Being short-term, what length of time are we considering short-term?
Well, it's under our short-term rental
Okay.
ordinance, right?
Yeah,
For
it's
that part.
Mayor and Council,
Okay.
short-term is anything under 30 days.
Under 30 days then, okay.
Any further questions? Further discussion? We have a motion and a second on the table. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the motion carries. We just have one of our officers so far.
We're good to go, sir. We'll just do the one.
We'll just do the one.
Yes, sir.
And this is who?
Colin.
All right. I gotta get the right piece of paper, chief. Colin, if you wouldn't mind coming up, coming up to the front. So, if you would raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Colin Ginnity,
I, Colin Kennedy,
promise that I will humbly serve
promise that I will humbly serve
all residents with a response to their crisis
all residents with a response to their crisis
with compassion,
with compassion,
sincerity, and concern,
sincerity, and concern,
patience, kindness, and respect.
patience, kindness, and respect.
I promise that I will, at all times,
I promise that I will at all times
conduct myself in a manner that reflects
conduct myself in a manner that reflects
positively on the Detroit Lakes Police Department
positively on the Detroit Lakes Police Department
and the city of Detroit Lakes.
and the city of Detroit Lakes.
Finally, I promise to follow the policies
Finally, I promise to follow the policies
of the Detroit Lakes Police Department,
of the Detroit Lakes Police Department,
uphold the laws of our state and nation,
uphold the laws of our state and nation,
and the ordinances of the city of Detroit Lakes,
and the ordinances of the city of Detroit Lakes,
and that I will faithfully discharge
and that I will faithfully discharge
my duties to the best of my abilities,
my duties to the best of my abilities.
so help me God.
So help me God.
You're in. So, do we need to have him sign this?
I'll get it later.
Okay, all right.
Mayor, are you gonna ask him the traditional questions at the podium, or is he,
Oh, do you want to introduce any of your family or say anything to the council and the public?
Well, first of all, thank you all for having me. Appreciate it. All my family's sitting right here. We got my mom, Tracy. Got my grandma, Chris. Got my stepdad, Monty Duel. My girlfriend, Maggie. My sister, Brittany. And my father, Mike. So, thanks for having us.
yeah, thanks.
So Chief, are we gonna do Ryan at another time? Chief?
Yes.
Not tonight, though? He's not
Not
coming?
tonight, sir.
Okay.
He had some military training and I
Okay.
think some wires didn't get crossed right.
Very good. Let's move back to the top then. And I believe we're at public hearing 4B, so at this time I'll adjourn the regular meeting and call to order a public hearing to give consideration to the granting of an on-sale intoxicating liquor license and Sunday liquor license to Roasted Pub and Eatery LLC for the period April 13th through December 31st, 2022. Is there anyone in the audience that has any questions or any comments regarding granting an on-sale intoxicating liquor license and Sunday liquor license to Roasted Pub and Eatery? Hearing none, that public hearing is closed, and I would entertain a motion from the council.
So moved.
Is there a second? Is that a second?
Second.
Okay. Motion's been made and seconded to grant the on-sale intoxicating liquor license and Sunday liquor license to Roasted for the balance of 2022. Discussion? All in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the motion carries.
Say, Mayor, if I can jump in.
Sure.
On Colin's appointment, there is a resolution that we need the council to approve for PERA.
And what, is it on the agenda?
Yep.
4-2.
482, Your Honor.
4-2, the second part of that.
Oh, you snuck that in there.
Can I take that, Your Honor?
Yeah. Go
So
ahead.
we have a resolution here declaring the position of the part-time police officer meets all PERA membership requirements for Colin Ginnery. The Public Safety Committee reviewed this, recommended approval, and I so move.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to declare the position of the part-time police officer for Colin Ginnity that meets all the PERA membership requirements. Discussion? All in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
And
And then we'll do Ryan's when he gets sworn in, or?
Yeah,
do
that's
you want to do it
fine.
now?
We can wait.
wait, all right, we can do that. Thank
Okay,
you, Your
so
Honor.
Now we're to the CDC, Dan.
All right, item A is consideration to a resolution approving a variance to allow a 15-foot setback from the road right-of-way to construct a 12-by-12 shed at 1209 Westlake Drive. Planning Commission reviewed this, CDC reviewed this, and recommends approval, and I so move.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve a resolution approving a variance at 1219 Westlake Drive. Discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Item C is consideration to a resolution approving the final plat of common interest community number 99 Lake Crest Estates. CDC reviewed this, recommends approval, and I so move.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve the final plat of CIC number 99 Lake Crest Estates. Discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Anything else, Dan?
Nothing.
Okay, we'll go to the Public Works. Madeline?
I'm deferring to Natalie since I
Okay,
wasn't at
Natalie.
the committee meeting yesterday.
Okay.
So the Public Works discussed the Detroit Lakes Youth Hockey and summer ice contracts, and there's no decision at this time. It was just, they should know, the Detroit Lakes Youth Hockey should know their numbers of players and tournaments by next month's meeting. So then there'll be contracts to approve then.
Okay.
And then, the Detroit Lakes Rotary Soccer Field. That is Kelsey.
Mayor and council, so the current agreement with, for the Rotary Soccer Field Complex with Detroit Lakes Youth Soccer is in its last year, actually expired at the end of 2021. So we need to renew that. The term on this one's a little bit longer. It was suggested to do a 5-year term to match. The school also has an agreement with youth soccer that runs till 2026. So it seemed like it made sense to have both these agreements expire at the same time. Those who don't know, the soccer field is a little bit of a unique relationship. The property itself is owned by M-State. Youth soccer actually has a lease with M-State for the property. And then the school contracts with the youth soccer for using the fields for high school soccer. Youth soccer then turns around and has an agreement with the city of Detroit Lakes to provide maintenance services. That's kind of the relationship, and if there's any questions.
Okay.
So Public Works reviewed this, and Moves to approve the consideration to the Detroit Lakes Rotary Soccer Field Complex Agreement.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve the agreement with the youth, it's with the youth soccer, isn't it?
Right,
For the
correct.
Detroit Lakes Rotary Soccer Field Complex. Discussion?
I would just want to say a little comment on this, and we've had this Detroit Lakes Rotary Soccer Field for quite some time, but this next year, we're going to have an expense of the city for $29,693. And with our agreement, with the soccer group, I think we're going to take in a little over $5,000. And the question is that if we're using this along with the public schools and everything else, that I don't feel that we're paying above our share as a city to keep these fields going. And while we call these the Detroit Lakes Rotary Soccer Field, Rotary really hasn't given any money to this field for many, many years, and the taxpayers is. And at the least, I think we should give recognition, even though we don't own that land, as M-State does, that we should maybe look at calling this a city park situation where it is the city of Detroit Lakes Soccer Field, because we're the ones that are doing the major funding on it. And unless the school wants to get more involved and the youth put more money on this, but these things are costing more and more money all the time, and people don't realize what the expenses are to run these things. And I just think we should give the naming right to the people that are making that happen. That's the taxpayers. Just my comment on that.
So Rotary doesn't have anything at all? What's the history behind it, Ron?
Well,
did they build the fields,
they
or-
started, and we got going with it, and did get some money for a few years, but they really haven't given a financial support for, in either, it was start with the new one, and I'm saying, as I'm a Rotary member, and if we're gonna call it Rotary Field, then our Rotary clubs should maybe each pitch in $5,000 or $10,000 a year to really have this being called Rotary Soccer Field on it, because I think if we're gonna have our name on something, we should be giving true financial support of it.
Okay. Well, that's kind of a separate item that we could certainly
It is,
take up at a future date.
but I'm just bringing it up for discussion
Sure,
down
okay.
the road. I think we should get the recognition. If it's going to be the city taxpayer, that we should put up a sign that says this is part of the Detroit Lakes Park System.
Okay. So for now, we have a motion and a second to
Correct.
just approve the fees through 2026, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Further discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Item 6C, the Snappy Park Field Use. That one also Kelsey.
Yes, Mayor and Council, kind of similar to the item before this. We have an agreement with the DLCCC for basically the use of the Snappy Park, ball fields, and concession area. There's two components to that fee. One's a $1,000 surcharge, as we call it, that was put in place a number of years ago to pay for the lighting that was put in down at the ballpark. And then the other portion of that fee is just intended to offset the city's costs related to the concession stands and the park. Again, I think that fee certainly doesn't cover all of our cost with the ballpark and the concession stand, but it basically offsets some of our utility cost that we have there.
Okay.
So Public Works reviewed and moves to the consideration of the Snappy Park Field Use and Concession Stand Agreement.
Is there a
Second.
second? Motion's been made and seconded to approve the City of Detroit Lakes and the DLCCC Snappy Park fee agreement. Discussion. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Item 6D, we're going to defer because we don't have the four-fifths vote of the City Council.
Okay.
6D, I will call on our Public Works Director, Sean King, to just give a little background on this item.
Mayor and council, before you is for cameras at South Shore Park. This is actually a budgeted item for 2023. We moved it up 1 year, come out of the capital improvement fund. By putting cameras in there now, we're able to open up them bathrooms and have that park open. Grand opening is already scheduled for June 15th, and it'd be nice to leave some bathrooms and everything open for people going around the lake.
Okay.
So
Natalie?
Public Works moves to the consideration of the memo from the Public Works Director for the purchase of cameras for South Shore Park in the amount of $16,205.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve the purchase of cameras for South Shore Park in the amount of $16,205, which is a budgeted item. Discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
And then item 6F, also Sean, will you give a little background on that pavilion on-guard control
Yes.
system?
Mayor and council, what this is, it'd be a card reader that we can put on the back of the pavilion. Right now, when the pavilion is rented, they come in Friday afternoon, pick up a hard key, and it's kind of a free-for-all. They can get in there at any point. With the card reader, we'll be able to set, so if they rent it on Saturday, we can set the times when they would be able to enter that building. So then it kind of eliminates that. They come in here, grab a key Friday, they're in there Friday for a rental on Saturday. It's just gonna be, we'll be able to control that access a little bit better.
Okay.
So Public Works moves for the consideration to a memo from the Public Works Director to purchase a on-guard access control system for the pavilion for $5,960.
Is there a second?
Second it.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve the purchase of an on-guard access control system for the pavilion. Discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries.
Item 6G, I will call on our city engineer, John Pratt, for an update.
Mayor and council. Try that again. Yikes. Wear it on my belt next time. We've got a number of projects I'm going to go through here and update you on. That's still loud. There. Westlake Drive Phase 1, I'm asking the council to give consideration to actually authorizing or approving the plans and specs and authorizing us to advertise for bid for the Westlake Phase 1 project. And this would be the segment from Legion to County Road 6. We aren't there yet, still working through some of the settlements and the agreements and litigation relative to just a couple of property owners at this point. I think we're very, very close. So I'm optimistic that maybe between now and the May council meeting that we would be able to get everything in place that would allow us to move that project ahead. And so the intent of asking for your approval tonight is when we get that, hopefully here sometime this month, I can proceed without waiting until the May council meeting to move this thing ahead. I still have intentions that we'd like to move that project forward, maybe a midsummer start and get it wrapped up this year. So that's the request.
So, John, when would you go out for bids on the Phase 2? Or have we already done that?
We did that last month,
Okay,
and we'll be accepting those bids.
that's why I don't know.
Yes, you were gone. Yep, we did it last month. We'll have those for May
Very
on
good.
Phase 2.
Natalie?
So Public Works moves the consideration to a resolution approving plans and specifications and ordering advertisement for bids for Westlake Drive Phase 1 for the street and utility improvement project.
Is there a second?
Second it.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve the plans and specifications and order bids for the Westlake Drive Phase 1 project. Discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
6H.
6H, I'm up again. We're asking the council to take the next step on the Linden Lane and Campbell Avenue project. If you recall, a couple months ago, we approved a facility plan so that we could apply to Public Facilities Authority for some funding for that project. The next step would actually be to do our improvement hearing where we mail notices to those affected properties, have them in at the next council meeting for a public hearing where we would explain the project and provide estimates on special assessments and things of that nature, take comments, and after that, then the council would be able to consider actually authorizing the design. This is a little earlier than what we've done these projects in the past, and part of the reason is just it takes longer to get through the funding. Material lead times are out there for everything, whether that changes between now and next year. I guess I don't want to take that chance, and so we're going to try to take some steps here a little earlier so that we could potentially be bidding that project early next winter rather than later next winter.
Okay, and so that hearing would be at our council meeting on May 10th?
Correct.
Okay.
So Public Works reviewed and moves for the consideration to a resolution setting an improvement hearing for the Campbell Avenue and Linden Lane Street and utility reconstruction project.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to set an improvement hearing for Campbell Avenue and Linden Lane Street Utility Project for May 10th, 2022. Discussion?
I've got, this is a neighborhood where we got a mix of all price homes in there, and some people may need a little help, and I know that's a question's gonna come because we helped on West Avenue, as whether or not there might be some assistance from state or federal dollars to help lower some of these costs for putting in all those new streets and everything else with it. So I don't know if we'd be able to have information enough for this meeting coming up when we have, have this hearing. But I know that's gonna be a question a lot of people are wondering how they're gonna be able to afford this.
Do you have any insight as to,
Yeah, I mean, to respond to Ron's comment, that is what we did, or what we're doing with Public Facilities Authority. We certainly hope that we get something beyond just low-interest loan. Ron mentioned West Avenue. In that case, we were eligible for what's called WIF funding, which provided us about $2 million, I think, and some change of grant dollars to help buy down some of those special assessments. We're certainly heading down that same path. Whether we get that or not, I won't know by the hearing, but we can certainly explain to the property owners that we're pursuing that, and we'll see what happens.
very good. So, any further discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
6-I.
One more, I'll just keep going.
It's that time.
Yes, asking the council to consider authorizing the preparation of a preliminary engineering report for Summit Avenue. This is a project that we had on our capital improvement plan for next year. So this would be the portion of Summit Avenue between Highway 10 and Holm Street, kind of along between the PD and the community center, along the fire hall, and it'd be a street and utility reconstruction project is what we're looking at. So this is the first step, preparing the PER, again, trying to move this along maybe a little earlier than in the past to allow some time to develop the project and get it out for bids a little earlier.
Okay.
So Public Works reviewed and moves to approve the consideration to a resolution authorizing the preparation of a preliminary engineering report for Summit Avenue.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to authorize the preparation of a preliminary engineering report for Summit Avenue from Holmes to Linden. Discussion?
John, when do you think this project would get going in for spring of 2023?
Quite honestly, don't know that yet. We would have some ability to make that decision as to when we want that work to happen. If there's a time that's more advantageous than another, we would have that ability to sort of make some decisions on that. At this point, the best I can probably tell you is it's sometime in the construction season of '23.
Thank you.
And then 6J, finish up the city engineers reports.
All right, down the list we go. Westlake Drive.
We got a vote.
Oh,
Oh,
sorry.
So we had a motion, a second, right?
Yeah.
All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
and now I'll go. Westlake Drive, Phase 1, I think I've kind of covered that tonight. We're getting close. Again, still hoping for that midsummer start on that project from Legion to 6. In the meantime, Phase 2 of Westlake Drive is out for bid. We'll be opening bids here late this month or early May and bringing those back to the City Council at the May meeting. Those, because that's a joint project with Becker County, that project will also have to go to the county board for approval. Probably looking at about a mid-June start on that one. So Phase 2 would actually get going before Phase 1 in this situation. Berquist subdivision, nothing to report, just some additional street work to finish up out there once we get some weather that's going to cooperate. Brislin subdivision, I don't have anything to report this evening on that. The Willow Homes and Frazee Street project, that's our large project from last year that we got started on, but we have probably about 65–70% of that yet to complete this year. The point I want to make on this one is I've been advertising, I think, for the last 6 months that they would start on that project on Holmes Street downtown this summer, go from Holmes and into the alley. We've switched that around where we're actually, I think, going to start on Frazee Street, so from McKinley to Washington Avenue. That would be the first area that they would start this year, and then they would move into the alley. Holmes and Frazee won't be closed at the same time, that's the idea, but there was some advantage to getting Frazee Street done earlier. The contractors indicated they have a fair amount of personnel and equipment available to hit that pretty hard early. And so I think getting Frazee Street done before we get in kind of the heat of the summer, that's a more critical corridor to access the downtown than Holmes Street. So we'd come back and pick up Holmes a little bit later. So
When do you anticipate they would be down at Willow again?
down on Willow, they actually would like to start right now. The plan is by mid-May, they would like to start at the Rossman and Willow intersection, just that intersection, getting some preparatory work done so that as soon as school's out, they can start moving east on Willow with the rest of the project. And that would also allow us to get that intersection done, get the concrete pavement in it, and get it reopened before we have to start closing down segments of Westlake Drive. Because when we close those down, the detour route, of course, that's going to bring a lot of people in on Willow, and so having Rossman open would be awfully helpful.
Are you using concrete on that segment?
Yep, so from the Rossman intersection all the way back to Washington will be concrete.
And did the water carnival admirals get a hold of you?
Not yet, but I expect that call any day, so
I give your number today.
super. Lake Forest, we've got some paving work to finish up, otherwise that project's essentially completed. Highland Drive, working on the design for that with Becker County yet. Still targeting a midsummer start on that project and getting that complete this year. That road's in very rough shape if anybody's traveled it lately. Long Pine Estates Phase 3, we are underway with the design of that. I think we'll have a fighting chance of bringing those plans to the May council meeting so that we can get those out for bids a little bit earlier than I maybe thought. We'll see how that goes, but that would be a project for this summer. And then the Becker County Museum and DLCCC parking lot, we took bids on that a couple weeks ago, and we will be considering award of that contract during the finance agenda. So that project will start pretty early in June is my guess.
Any questions for John? Do we normally approve this with a motion, do we, or is it?
Usually,
Do we?
Okay.
I think.
So
Why don't we do a motion, Natalie?
I motion to approve the city engineer's monthly project status reports.
Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Okay, that should wrap up that segment then.
I
Or do
see
you
that-
have more?
L1 is, do we need to do a consideration of that resolution even though L's on the consent agenda? Do we need to,
We'll call it underneath consent agenda.
okay, good.
Okay, good to go, Natalie?
Yep, thank
We'll
you.
go to the finance committee, Chairman Zeman.
Okay, the first item is 7A, and we had a little bit of an update on ARPA updates. As you know, the city's going to receive $1,015,013.42. We're going to receive half of that amount, $506.71 on July 28th, and then the remainder will come in July of 2022. We've, I think all of you have this sheet from you, but we've listed some items that we see possible that we could use as ARPA money for, and some of the major ones is to work with the food pantry, work with the water sewer on Willow and Holmes and Frazee Street to help buy down some of the costs of those assessments. There needs to be some work done with pneumatic controls at the library, looking at some HVAC and technology here for the city hall, looking at a possible playground for the Boys and Girls Club, the fire department needs air compressors, and our share of that would, in townships will work on that. There was something that's badly needed. And then we're also looking at some ways to help childcare and also to help the DLCC Mohoobie Playground relocation with the museum too. So those are some of the ideas. Nothing's been decided yet, so if you as the council members or anyone else want to give a suggestion, you know, let Heidi or Kelsey know, or myself, where do you think there should be. But that was just give you an idea of where those dollars are coming. So then let's go to 7B. It's a consideration to accepting bids for the DLCC Museum parking lot and awarding control to HUG for an amount of $582,087.36. And Kelsey, do you want to update us on that?
Mayor and council, maybe John, you wanted to speak to the bids, and then I can speak to the next item, maybe?
Sure. Yeah,
We took bids on this project a couple of weeks ago, received, I think it was 3 bids or 4 bids, I don't have the tab in front of me. But overall, it was very, very favorable bids. In fact, I was expecting them to come in probably over estimate considering everything. So we got 3 bids. The low bid was from Haug. This does include an alternate that we included in the bid proposal, which would provide for an overlay of the remaining portion of the DLCCC parking lot. That number also was pretty attractive. So we're recommending award to Haug, which works well because they're also doing the demo of the museum for the museum project. So as soon as that building's gone, effectively we can start on the parking lot construction. But on that note, just as a PSA, parking is going to be a bit of a challenge around the community center this summer. It's already a challenge. It will become more challenging, so worse before it gets better, but once we get this done, it should be much better.
Okay, so we need a motion, Ron.
Okay, then Kelsey, maybe you want to explain where we're at, because there's some extra requests there then.
Yeah, Mayor and council, I can speak to the next item on the agenda, 7C. So as John explained, where the bids came in, if you recall, the council had committed $550,000 of food and beverage tax funds towards the museum parking lot cost. That original scope of that project didn't include the mill and overlay on the DLCCC parking lot. So as my memo kind of explains, the request or the consideration for the council would be to approve an extra $51,113.71 towards food and beverage tax funds to cover that overlay costs of the DLCCC parking lot. At the Finance Committee, there was also discussion, Becky I don't think is here, but Becky Mitchell from the museum was here to request some additional funding for the actual parking lot cost. Again, the council's pledged $550,000. The total costs for what I call the museum parking lot, which includes the bid from Haug, it includes the land acquisition from the chamber, it includes the house that was demoed on the museum site. It's coming in about $587,067.49. That does include a little bit of a contingency in the construction cost. So really the request from the museum was to cover that additional $37,000 using food and beverage tax funds. So the way I would summarize it, there's really 2 considerations. One's the request to pay the $51,000 for the overlay, and the second is consideration to paying the extra $37,000 of parking lot cost.
Okay, so we'll have to have 2 motions.
Two motions, yeah. And we had quite a bit of discussion on this because, you know, the museum's come back and we've had time with CASA stuff has come back and, you know, we're short this overlay for $51,000 and then short to $37,000. And while we could hold that out, it would mean that we would probably have to do an overlay a few years later and wouldn't have as good of a product. So we figured that we're this close to the finish line. The committee has decided to accepting the bids of the LCC Museum parking lot, and then awarding the contract to Haug for $582,087.36 aside. Let's do that one first, and the committee wanted to go ahead with that, so I so moved we do that. Second my motion. There's a second.
Motion's been made and seconded to accept the bid for Haug for the museum parking lot, the DLCCC and the museum parking lot, in the amount of $582,087. Discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the motion carries.
Okay, the next item was C, and that's the consideration to the additional funding for $51,000 overlay, but the actual output would be the $37,000 that we would need. And after much discussion, because, we said the meeting before that we're not going to give another dime to it, but we're so close to get this done with, and rather doing it and not saying we're not doing it the way it really should be done, we went ahead and said, let's go ahead and approve the additional money. So I so move that we go ahead and.
Can I comment on that?
Sure.
Oh, okay.
Let me get a second.
Second.
on the table.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Discussion, Aaron?
Okay, I remember when the museum was here, I don't know what month it was, but I was here, and Mr. Bulkey told the museum, enough is enough, this is the amount that we're gonna do. Where are we gonna draw the line on these things when people keep coming back for more additional money? We need to hold places like this accountable when they come with us with a project. Now, I'm not against the museum by any means, but we just told these people here a couple months ago, enough is enough, and now they're back here asking for more additional funds. Now, I know it's a food and beverage tax, but then again, a tax is a tax. Now, my only concern is again, if they come back here another 2 months asking for more money, Ron, you're talking about the Rotary and the soccer fields, and the Rotary doesn't put any money into it. What does Becker County have into this museum?
Okay.
That's my comment.
Okay. Any further discussion?
Becker County has a significant contribution to the museum.
But why are they keep on coming to us? And we're giving them what they want.
Okay, further discussion, further comments? We have a motion and a second on the table. I'm gonna call the question. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
Motion carries.
Okay, next item is 7D, consideration to a memo from the city administrator approving funding for the airport parking lot and fueling system improvements. And Kelsey, I'm gonna call on this for you.
Yeah, Mayor and Council, try not to go too far in the weeds on this, but just kind of speak to the memo that's in your packet. The project is basically replacing the existing fueling system that is out at the airport. The current system was installed in 1991, and simply put, those underground tanks, while they're still in good shape, we leak test them and they pass inspection, they're just getting old, and it's time for replacement. Along with that is a parking lot improvements that basically the parking lot gets impacted by replacing the tanks, taking out the old tanks, and then also installing the new tanks kind of to the west of the existing parking lot. So there's kind of, when it comes to airport funding, there's different pots of money and different eligibility for how those funds can be used. So the parking lot itself is eligible for federal funding that we basically have in place for up to 90% of those costs. So the local share ends up being fairly small on the parking lot side. However, the fueling station is not federally eligible, so we're reliant on a state grant. However, the state only funds those at a 70-30 split. So the local share, because of basically the fueling station, depending upon how much of a state grant we get, could be the local share could be anywhere between $250,000 to $411,000. Why such a gap? It's because MnDOT they can cap their grants at $400,000. If they cap their grant at $400,000, we're going to have a greater local share. If they fund the full 70%, then potentially our local share will be less. At this point, we don't know what that number will be. It'll probably be a couple more months before we get any grant awards from the state. So why is the airport making this request to both the city and the county? It goes back to the runway taxiway project. Basically, our local match for that project is under the original budget that we had projected. You may recall that a few years ago, the city and the county each committed $1 million each towards the runway project. Currently, they are both in at about $600,000 each. So the request is basically take that remaining budget from the taxiway and runway and taxiway project and apply it towards this fueling station. So this would require also county board approval, which I expect they'll take up next week.
Okay.
Any questions?
I was gonna say, so we're looking at potentially anywhere from 250,000 to 411,000, and it's split with the county 50/50, and we'll be getting more numbers as they come in, but it's a combination between federal, state, and city on this project, and we've worked closely with the county all the way through this project, and this project also is coming close to the finish line, so I would move that we go ahead and approve the funding for the airport parking lot and the fueling system, and staff will get back with us on what those final numbers will be.
Second.
Okay. There's a
Second from
motion and second on the table to give consideration to the memo from the city administrator approving funding for the airport parking lot and fueling system improvements. Discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Anything else, Ron?
None, Your Honor.
So now it looks like we've got lots of asterisks. All the way down to the public utilities.
You know, we might have a little report on public safety, because the chief's been working on, we're working on those cameras and all this stuff that the police officers are gonna need, and he's been, just to let public know that he's been, you wanna say anything about that, Chief, about where you're at now? He's been doing research and trying to find a camera system because of, after what's happened the last couple of years in Minneapolis, everybody's going to camera systems.
Sure, Mayor and Council, I have been doing a lot of research, and that's primarily working with the vendors of the different body camera makes and models that are sold. I've kind of come to a conclusion on what product would be best for Detroit Lakes. There's several tiers of product quality and features, and I don't think we need the product that has all the bells and whistles, so to speak. So I've kind of zeroed in on a brand called G-Tac, and they also sell computers, and I used to use that brand when I worked at my previous position. All the computers that we had were that brand, G-Tac. I was visiting with Representative Paul Marquardt, and there is a chance that there may be some state funding for body camera projects that's maybe released during this legislative session, and I think we've all come to the conclusion that we should just sit and wait until this session is over, which would be approximately a month and a half to 2 months, and see what develops there. The body camera initiative is very important to several state legislature members as well as the governor, and I think that if we just wait and see if they provide some funding, it might benefit the city as we move forward.
Okay, any questions for Chief Todd? Thank you.
Thanks.
So there's nothing further on public safety and nothing on the liquor and gambling that came up today? Okay. And the Public Utilities Commission met this morning, and was there, Kelsey, was there
There was
anything from
nothing.
there or
No
nothing there?
action items, no.
Were you there?
Yeah,
Oh,
I
well, you're a
was.
trooper.
I am a trooper. Never let it be said.
We have item 11A
Yeah, some
is
questions.
consideration of approving a resolution, approving a grant agreement with MnDOT for the airport rescue grant funds. Kelsey, will you explain that to the council?
Mayor and council, basically the airport is getting some ARPA funds, and that's being channeled through the state, through MnDOT, so we have to sign a grant agreement with MnDOT, and it requires a resolution from the council.
Okay, I would entertain a motion and a second.
I so moved.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve a grant agreement with MnDOT for the airport rescue grant funds. Discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. There's no action on the proclamations. They're in your packet. I don't have a recommendation for the Deal Community Foundation. If anybody has a candidate, I would be open to a suggestion. Anything else from the city administrator or any of the city staff? Okay, next week we have.
I've got a
I'm
question
sorry.
for Kelsey. You went down to Rochester for airport meeting. Did any information come out of there?
Well, I guess the big news is the airport project received the 2021 Minnesota Council of Airports Airport Project of the Year. So that was a nice presentation. We also had representatives from Haug there, who was the contractor on the project. They came down to Rochester to receive their award also, so it was a nice recognition.
And there's a nice plaque sitting on my desk.
There it is.
I should have brought that in here.
And
Thank you.
then I'm going to ask you too, Kelsey. I know there's going to be a group going down to St. Paul in regards to Washington Park.
Correct. Working on getting a group of us together to go to St. Paul next Wednesday to meet with Senator Bach, who chairs the Senate Capital Investment Committee, just to kind of make a push for our bonding request for Washington Park.
So as far as the House and the Senate, there's no action has been taken in any committees yet? How about in the House, though?
So the House, we were told that if they came and visited our project, we don't need to testify.
Okay.
So we haven't been called down to testify,
Okay.
but.
Okay.
And then I was going to ask also, that people have been asking about childcare, and I know there's some meetings coming up that people are interested as far as, with the childcare and so forth and money.
Yeah, Natalie and Ron are on that early childhood initiative committee, so I think you guys are getting all the emails. But if any of the council members wants to be involved in that group, just let me know and I can get you the calendar invites. So basically, it's kind of a broad group: West Central Initiative, Mahabi, the county, licensures, actual daycare providers, facility owners are all involved, just kind of talking about childcare issues and trying to tackle the variety of issues that come with trying to provide affordable childcare.
Okay.
I was going to mention Alderman Zeman, I know, is signed up too for the League of Minnesota Cities Conference, annual conference in June. There's still time available if you want to go. Let us know.
All righty. So next week we have the, is that next week or the week after? 2 weeks? We have the Board of Review for the city assessments. That'll be coming up on April 26th at 10:30 right here at City Hall. The joint governance meeting dates are before you, and the city council meeting dates for the balance of 2022 are before you. Anything else for the good of the order? Dan, you got anything?
Nothing else, Your Honor.
Natalie? Madeline?
Nothing at all. Are you doing the proclamations or not?
I said they're there.
Okay.
Maybe we should go
You
over
have-
those.
you have to
I thought you were gonna like read
You
them or
have to come to
something.
the events to hear them.
Oh, right.
Otherwise, it wouldn't be a surprise.
Just want to wish everybody a happy Easter season.
Yeah. Hopefully, we don't have a blizzard.
No.
Dan?
Nothing.
Wendy?
For me,
Happy Easter, he is risen, right? Is that what they say?
Yes, indeed.
The business of this council has come to a conclusion, and the meeting is adjourned.